23-year-old defender Carolyn Harvey has had 9 points, 2 goals, 7 assists, which is by far and away the best player on the team right now.
I mean, best player in the tournament.
In the tournament,
right
yes,
now.
right now.
Hi, I'm Caitlin.
Hi, I'm Alex.
And you're listening to Raising the Game, a podcast covering the rise and opportunity, visibility, accessibility of women's sports globally. We're a husband-wife team who are avid sports fans raising 2 young girls and find the exposure and investment in women's sports a gateway for them and other young girls like them to see their passions for play, performance, and leadership, not as extracurriculars to be added to a resume or a discipline with an expiration date after high school or college, but as a real opportunity to build a career as an athlete, a coach, an analyst, an athletic trainer, a director of sports operations, or maybe even a podcaster.
Each week, we're bringing you the top stories in women's professional and sometimes collegiate sports. We'll highlight primetime performers, key business decisions, economic impacts, and the growing opportunities for women's athletics. You'll hear our perspectives on these stories as fans, but perhaps more importantly, as parents who value what these stories mean for our kids. If there's a storyline or topic you'd like to hear us talk about, reach out via email at raisingthegamepod@gmail.com or on social media at RTG_pod.
All right,
we're back.
We are back. Thanks for being here with us. Before we get into favorite thing to kick off the episode, we'll just do kind of our standard commentary, call to action around supporting the community here. Again, in Minneapolis, I think, like we mentioned last week, things have really kind of died down from a national news media perspective. But I do know from people that I am familiar with that there's still a significant amount of activity going on.
Not much has changed on the ground here.
Yeah. It's sort of expanding out beyond like the Twin Cities area. So I will say today, if you are watching us or if you see clips on our social media, Alex and I are both wearing some gear that we got from Soda Clothing Company. We mentioned this a little bit ago, and the proceeds for that went to support St. Louis Park, one of the communities that we used to live. So finding ways to give and support where we can. This is one way that we do it.
Yep.
We have a bunch of links in our show notes, podcast notes that we'll continue to keep there if you feel compelled to join in.
For sure.
So one other thing I do want to mention off the top is today's episode is going to be a little different than the last couple. We aren't doing a particularly deep dive on anything. We have a lot of things to cover off on. And so our top headline segment is going to feel a little shorter, but that's mostly because the rest of the episode is going to be like taking all the top headlines and talking a little bit more about them.
Our best Sports Center impersonation.
Yeah, exactly.
Here,
So if this feels a little like you're watching Sports Center or that you're listening to Sports Center this week, that's why. We have a ton to catch up on. We're going to talk Olympics. We're going to get into WNBA, other basketball news. There's a lot of soccer stuff going on. So as we gear up for a lot of these seasons to get started, as well as have the Winter Olympics continuing into its second week this week, we're just going to be talking about it all.
Talk about everything.
You want to take us through some of the top headlines we did pull out?
Do we want to do favorite thing first?
Oh my goodness. Yes, of course we do.
I think, again, we might have a very similar favorite thing.
Maybe.
The 1v1 tournament from Unrivaled.
Yes, 100%. So good.
Insane basketball being played, especially as it got deeper into it.
Yeah. We'll talk a little bit more about this in our basketball segment and give you a little bit of some fun facts behind it. But I read a quote that was like, is the NBA taking notes?
Yeah.
The WNBA taking notes? Because it's like from think about All-Star games. NBA just played their All-Star game this past weekend.
Is the NBA taking notes? Not just the...
that's what I said. I said them first because their All-Star games, frankly, I find them very boring.
They keep trying to do little gimmicky things.
Yeah. This was so entertaining. It's so quick. It's really on brand with the age of social media and the quick scroll and swipe and whatnot. And material impact on the line. We're going to talk about the prize money that was on the line, but that made for really good. I mean, these ladies were not messing around.
It definitely felt more intense the deeper into the bracket that we
100%.
got. Yeah.
Like if you watched it at all, it was like icy stares. There was not a lot of like trash talking. Like they were locked in on their game. So super fun. I do have a couple others that I'm going to throw out there. I know we're going to talk about it, but just the ice hockey at the Olympics, the Team USA has been
dominant,
unbelievable. Like it's really impressive to watch. And I, as a sports fan, I don't care what the sport is. I really enjoy watching people excel, like really excel. Really good. We'll get more into that in a little bit. And then the other thing I had to put in there, we were watching some coverage, like primetime coverage on NBC of the Olympics the other night. And it was just like random pairs figure skating. So we've talked a lot about ice dance with Madison Chalk and Evan Bates. Pairs is where it's a male female pair. They do more of like the throwing of the female skater.
Jeez.
And I was like glued to the television, like mesmerized during this routine. And it's so enthralling, like just watching all of these sports. But that one in particular stood out. I'm of course a big figure skating, like closeted figure skating lover.
Athleticism, like you said, of being thrown in the air and landing on one skate, let alone like 1 foot.
So I saw a fun fact about that these women are absorbing something like 6,000 to 9,000 like pounds of pressure or something when they land. And then there was one pair in particular, the woman gets thrown 21 feet across, like distance wise.
How?
I don't know.
Like
maybe they were doing more of like a curved thing or something like that. But like they're like, it's I would be scared.
Yeah, that's scary.
I told Alex the other night, I was like, I'm lucky if I can jump off of 1 foot and land on 1 foot and like hold a position. They land on 1 foot on a blade going backwards, absorbing apparently a ton of pressure.
It's insane.
Crazy. So, okay.
All right. We're going to, top headlines.
Let's do it.
All right. U.S. Olympian and track and field star Allison Felix named an International Olympic Committee member, demonstrating the value of the athlete perspective.
Yeah, I thought this was cool. Allison Felix, for those who may not be familiar, she's a multiple time medalist for Team USA track and field, but she really, I think, shot to maybe more societal fame, if you will, when she challenged Nike, I believe, on their maternity policies. I think they were actually going to cut her. I don't remember the exact story, but they were going to like cut her or dock her down while she was out on maternity leave as a sponsor. Like she was a sponsored athlete. And then she actually ended up transforming Nike's product line as a result of all of this conversation, so that they now actually have a maternity apparel line for pregnant women. So she's done a ton of work, I think, to speak to equity in sport across the genders. Really cool to see her getting a perspective here. Whether or not the IOC takes that into consideration, we'll see. Alex and I both have a lot of issues with the IOC.
The IOC might be a deep dive at some point.
Oh man, yeah. But cool to see that she's willing to maybe step in and try to make some change.
Moving on, Peacock, NBC streaming service, is premiering 2 new episodes of its Hello Sunshine documentary series. One focused on X Games athletes and another focused on the trajectory of the PWHL.
And I think I missed it.
You heard it here first.
Yeah, that's right. I think I missed it here. But Hello Sunshine is the production company. The documentary series actually called The Rise. There was one maybe a month or so ago on Nafisa Collier, actually, and we had talked about it. But I thought this was cool, talking about X Games athletes. But then obviously we've been talking a lot about the PWHL. So cool to see that they're spotlighting that. I would recommend everybody go check that out.
Giannis Antetokounmpo purchased a stake in Chelsea FC, joins Alexis Ohanian, who bought 10% stake last year.
Yeah. So Serena Williams' husband and Reddit co-founder Alexis Ohanian bought into the, let's be clear, women's Chelsea FC. And Giannis just announced that this week that he's buying a stake in the team. So cool to see. I think we see this theme of like athletes and folks who are around sport investing in women's sports right now. And this is just another example.
Yeah. South Carolina dispatches LSU. I think we outlined that on our What to Watch.
We talked about that being important.
Yeah, big game.
I heard there were all the fireworks you'd expect between a showdown of a Don Staley and a Kim Mulkey team.
Yep.
Kim Mulkey, the game was played on Valentine's Day on Saturday, and I saw
what was she
had
wearing?
Like electric pink.
There you go.
Like suit, blazer and dress pants with like these black hearts like embroidered on it. And you can go find the clip, y'all. Kim Mulkey, as is her custom, went off on a referee at one point for not letting her call a timeout or like didn't hear her or something. But that is worth its weight in entertainment gold. Usually.
6 former Pitt Panthers basketball players sue head coach Tory Verdi, alleging he pressured players into the transfer portal, made harassing remarks, and threatened players' careers on and off the court.
Yeah, so this is unfortunate. We have a couple headlines this week that aren't like the best news. I think we don't want to shy away from some of the challenge that athletes face, women, female athletes in particular. This one seems a little bit more like it was not along the lines of like physical or like sexual abuse, but still not great to see people who are in positions of power take advantage of those positions and really impact. I mean, what really struck me was like he was threatening these allegedly, again, I want to be clear, this isn't, allegedly threatening these players' careers on and off the court. So like not just their basketball playing, but like what were they going to go do after the fact? So
was this also the coach I saw that he had tried to throw it back on them, saying that they had made like some remarks towards, there was another, I think another one out there
I don't know for sure, but honestly it wouldn't. I did see a quote from the university because they're also suing Pitt, and they were like, we believe in isn't like they're protecting him. So it'll come out in court. But we believe women.
All right. WNBA star Rickea Jackson takes leave from Unrivaled season, admits harassment and felony charges from ex-boyfriend NFL player James Pierce Jr., agrees to testify. Yeah,
another bummer of a headline. Rickea was one we were really enjoying watching in the Unrivaled season. She was on the Breeze BC with Paige and Cameron Brink and Dominique Malonga. Really scary, frankly, if you read about what happened.
Stalking her after the fact. And
down in Miami where she was playing, and he like followed her in his car and then like hit her car, and then she tried to go straight to the police station and he blocked her from going there, and then he left. I think it's super brave of her to step in and be cooperative. These are really difficult situations. She is unfortunately, and I'm glad she's able to take the time away for herself. But it's a bummer to not see her play. The other thing that I think we saw about this was there were some really, speaking of, we're just on a bad tear these last couple weeks, but somebody was like, they're going to ruin his career.
Yeah, they're going to ruin his career.
And you're just like, hello, he ruined his career.
Yeah. How do you read that story and say that it's her fault that he stalked her? Heaven
forbid.
Oh my gosh. God. All right. Well, let's move on to something a little bit more fun here. We're going to talk, we're doing our Olympics roundup. We've got quite a few things to talk about here, but we're going to start with kind of what we've been latching on to a lot here is ice hockey. The United States women have been completely dominant in the Olympics here. They're outscoring their opponents 26-1. Yeah, that's 26 for, 1 against. They only gave up 1 goal in their game against Czechia. They won 5-1. Finland, they won 5-0. Switzerland, they won 5-0, and Canada, they beat 5-0. And we kind of joked their biggest thing is they can't get past 5 goals, and then a 6-0 quarterfinal victory against Italy. I think the biggest thing here is that 23-year-old defender Carolyn Harvey has had 9 points, 2 goals, 7 assists, which is by far and away the best player on the team right now.
I mean, best player in the tournament.
Right now. And I think there was something we heard today while we were watching the game against Sweden. Sweden in the semifinals. They were in the second intermission and they were talking about her, and they said through 2 periods today, she doesn't have a point yet. And they were up 5-0. So not only is it her, the bench is like the whole bench is stacked. Like,
I think
the depth there is crazy.
Right. I think if today, what was it? They had the 5 goals, and I heard they were talking about Harvey, and then they said, and 13 players with a point. So in hockey, for those who may not have watched, you get a point for a goal and you get a point for an assist, and each goal you can have up to 2 assists per goal.
Yeah.
So what that tells me is they're moving the puck, because that's almost 2 assists per goal, right? No unassisted goals, right? And you have everybody distributing that wealth around. So like it's insane. I think we're seeing, there's been some headlines that are coming out. It's like, is this the best team ever assembled? As far as some of the NBC commentators are former Olympians, either Team Canada or Team USA usually. And they're talking about how like they've never seen play like wild. This before.
I think the one question, we talked about this earlier today, is that we've seen some of these games where the other team only has 3 or 4 shots on goal. And so I think the only question on that game is how prepared is the goaltending to be able to take on potentially, I think it's Canada won today. So they're taking on Canada. Are they going to be able to, deal with more shots than they've seen probably all tournament? Yeah.
And I think too, that'll be interesting to see, right? I played goalkeeper in soccer, very different kind of visuals and things like that. But it is true that like the longer you spend off action, right? It becomes the challenge becomes locking back into the game, right? And it becomes like, can I stay sharp and focused? And I think it's a really good point you make that, now they've been rotating. They've had Aaron Frankel is arguably the best goaltender in the world right now, who's the starting number 1 for Team USA. They've had Gwen Phillips play in a couple of games too. So like they're getting some rotation in there, which is good. Sometimes that helps goalkeepers to just not sit back there and just wait for things to happen to them. But I think the biggest stumbling block for them is the fact that they beat Canada 5-0. I hope, and I don't think they are, I'll comment on that in just a second, but I hope that they don't sleep on them thinking like, hey, we already beat them. They are going to come. I mean, it's a freaking rivalry. You guys, this is the 7th gold medal game between these two countries. Canada's won 4. The US has won 3. Canada famously won in the 2022 Beijing Olympics in like very, like a lot of close games, like just tough fashion. And Team USA is definitely out for revenge, but you do worry that when a team has just kind of sailed through the tournament. Now today, I will say against Sweden, it was 1-0 at the end of the first period. Like it was a tighter game, and Sweden came out, kind of took it to them, and it even looked like that early in the second period. Like I thought I was going to say something at one point, like Sweden's skating hard. They're being physical. They're bodying these women up, and look like they could take it to them.
That's probably what you're going to need to do if you're Canada, is really bring the physical game.
So physical, right? And I think we will see that. I think we're going to see. I think there might be. You got to be careful though, because you don't want to give up penalties.
Yes, exactly,
right?
exactly.
But then as soon as the U.S. scored that second goal, I think they scored 3 goals in like 3 minutes or something.
I walked away for 10 minutes, and then
you were.
Suddenly they just.
So they know how to pour it on when things start to open up. So it's going to be a hell of a game.
All right, we're going to move on to Canada, and there is a little bit of a wrinkle when we're going to talk about Canada and that loss against USA. So,
Ooh, I like it.
their record entering the semifinals, 4-1. Actually, I think that should be 5-1.
Yes.
I think I mistyped there. Their goal differential is 19-7. So obviously not quite as good. Still fantastic. About 2.5 or so to 1. And their only loss, like we said, coming from the United States, a 5-0 loss.
5 of those 7 goals they've allowed were against the U.S.
Yes,
I think
exactly.
They've allowed 1 against 2 other opponents.
Yeah, exactly.
So like their D is not horrible.
Yeah, exactly.
Right?
So, and Marie-Philippe Poulin was out for 2 games, out during that USA game. She is back.
Yes.
And she is ready to play against the US in this game. So, they're getting their depth back. It's going to be interesting to see how much she brings to that game, because I think that potentially is why they didn't put up as much of a fight against us.
Yeah, for sure. And I think it'll be interesting. You've got her and Hillary Knight on the side of Team USA, both playing in a record 5 Olympics for their respective countries. A lot of respect, a lot of rivalry between those 2 captains. And so it is truly going to come down to like the battle of Captain Clutch versus Captain America. And we mentioned this when we did a PWHL deep dive a couple weeks ago, but Poulin is known for scoring game-winning goals.
Yeah.
So as long as they can keep it close, I will be watching her like a hawk,
like crazy,
because she knows when the moment arrives, she's usually ready for it.
I mean, the question I have at the end of our call sheet here was, is she going to make this, make the difference, the 5-goal difference, or is the U.S. team just inevitable at this point?
If I had to like put a prediction out there, I think Team USA, unless they get the norovirus that everybody has apparently had in the Olympics, I think their depth is too good. And one player alone is not going to flip the switch and change the outcome.
I think it's going to be a 4-2, 5-2 score.
Yeah.
For the USA.
And I think if it goes that way, I think it might be tight early,
exactly.
And then there will be a breaking point.
Yeah.
So looking forward to that, though.
Yeah, it's gonna be a fun one. It is Thursday. I think it's right around noon is when we have that game. So
absolutely,
that'll be a fun one. All right, we are going to move into. We're going to do a little bit of a medal count here. These are strictly medal counts for the women or mixed gender team.
Yes.
For each country. Yes. We have Sweden in the lead with 4 golds, 3 silvers, 2 bronze. Italy in second with 4 gold, 2 silver, 3 bronze. And then France with 3 gold, 3 silver, 1 bronze. And then in fourth place.
I actually think
did we move?
Unless we're only going by gold medals. Because we landed a couple medals today that we're just catching up on here.
The USA now has
14.
4 gold for women. Is that correct?
Yep.
5 silver and 5 bronze.
Yep.
And if we look at that from a holistic standpoint there's 6 total golds for the USA. 4 of those are women. 8 total silver for USA. 5 of those are women. 5 total bronze, and they're all women. So like 80% of the medals won so far are on the women's side or mixed.
Or mixed, yes.
But mostly women's, yes.
For sure. So that's cool. We want to talk through some of those medals.
Yeah, we have them
for USA.
We have most of them here. We did this research early, so I'm missing the bobsled, and you got them. All right, perfect. We have a gold in the team event in figure skating, which I think we talked about last week. Yep. Gold in the women's downhill by Breezy Johnson.
I got to say a quick thing about that. So Breezy Johnson, because I am a avid Swiftie for those who are unaware, and Breezy Johnson not only won the gold medal in downhill at the finish line. I don't think it was at the downhill race. I think it might have been in the Super G race. Mm-hmm. Her boyfriend proposed to her, and when she posted online, Taylor Swift commented on it with her lyrics from one of her songs, "Where's the Trophy?" He just comes running over to me. Congratulations. I was like, whoa, you got a shout out from like the pop superstar in the world, quoting her own lyrics at you.
Yes, that's amazing.
That's a baller move, Taylor Swift.
We have Elizabeth Lemley, who won a gold in the women's moguls and a bronze in the dual moguls, which I didn't realize there was a difference until you told me about that today.
Yes, we learned all about moguls differences over the weekend. I also want to add in here, we did see today the monobob finals happen. So that's single person bobsled, and our spotlighted Black woman, most decorated Black Olympian, Winter Olympian of all time, Alana Myers-Taylor, took home her elusive gold medal.
Got it.
And do you know who she thanked?
Who'd you think?
You remember she's one of those 40-year-old working moms?
Yep.
She thanked her nannies.
Amazing.
Because childcare is necessary. Right?
Absolutely.
And should be something that we all get to
absolutely
to support our dreams.
That's who I'd be thinking too.
Yeah.
We also have, speaking of moguls and dual moguls, Jalen Kauf won silver.
Yes.
In both of those.
Yep.
So that was actually interesting. Gold for Elizabeth Lemley in the single, silver.
Yeah, they took 1-2.
And then 2-3 in the other one.
Yep.
Of course, we've got silver for Madison Chalk and Evan Bates in mixed ice dance. Silver for the Coreys in mixed doubles curling. And silver for Chloe Kim in snowboarding halfpipe, which I think we talk about a little bit later.
Yeah.
Not what we're looking for, but still a great story there.
Yeah, so many good stories here. I think we aren't going to get into the Chalk and Bates controversy, but there was, if you are following that, there was a lot of drama over that over the last week about the French team that did win and the performances, and it was interesting. I stayed up and watched it in prime time. I knew the outcome, but I remember walking away being like, theirs was better. Like it didn't, I don't know.
Yeah.
So it's one of those things where if you really want to go down a rabbit hole, you can go find that on the internet.
All right. Moving on to some bronze medals. I tried learning how to say this earlier today.
You want me to try it?
I think you should try it and then I'll go.
Ashley Farquharson.
Yep. That sounds great. She got bronze in singles luge. So shout out to anyone who's going to go down any device in that on that track.
No kidding.
We have bronze. Jessie Diggins got the bronze in the 10-kilometer freestyle. And then we had bronze for Jacqueline Wiles and I believe Minnesotan Paula Molson on the women's team combined skiing.
And then added to this list just today, Kaylee Humphreys, also in monobob, took home a bronze medal. So U.S. went 1-3 on the monobob, which was kind of expected. I think we're pretty stacked when it comes to the monobob side. All
right. Some other impressive performances, not necessarily U.S. We actually watched this one because it was against Erin Jackson, but Femke Kok from the Netherlands. Speed skating, 500 meters, set an Olympic record. She did it against, like we said, Erin Jackson. Put Erin Jackson into 5th place on that one. We'll talk about it later. I think there was some mistakes from Erin Jackson on that specific run, but Femke ran an amazing race, or skated an amazing race.
Yeah, and she's apparently been like so in form around the World Cup tour for the last couple of years. Like, I don't think it was, for those who know speed skating, I don't think that it wasn't a surprise. I did see a quote before we got on air here from Erin Jackson saying like she had the best start that she could have asked for, but she did not do well on the back half of the race. And she, bummer. But it's still cool to see her out there representing. We got to watch a fun little interview she did with Snoop Dogg, the world's ambassador to all things Olympics.
Had him on skates.
Had him on roller skates. Which was, he seemed very uncomfortable.
Yes. We're gonna have another name here. Federica Brignone.
Yeah, that's good.
I'm gonna go with that. From Italy, competing on home soil. Brought home 2 gold medals in alpine skiing, super G, and giant slalom. Her giant slalom victory was particularly emotional. She dominated the field to become the first Italian woman to win that event since 1998.
Oof. That's amazing.
Yeah.
I do think Italy is like showing up well.
They're doing
in these
really
games.
well.
Like,
yeah.
and surprisingly so. I don't think
Yeah,
people
yeah.
were pegging them
No,
to
not
be
at all.
doing as well as they are.
And then one fun one here in a bizarre
Oh my
twist.
gosh.
Sweden's Sarah Hector and Norway's Thea Louise Stjernsund skied identical times down to the 100th of a second, not just once, but twice. And so they shared a silver medal and no bronze was awarded.
Yeah. They do each get a silver medal.
Yes, they each get they don't each get half of one silver medal. They each get one.
You get a half.
But to ski 2 times exactly down to the 100th of a second is insane.
That is insane.
All right. Moving on to some highlighted, I think it was the women that we highlighted last week or the week before. We're going to talk a little bit about them. Like we said earlier, Erin Jackson failed to defend her 2022 gold medal in the 500, finishing with a time of 37.32 seconds. This was, I think, a 5th place pace for her. Like you said, she had a great start, one of the best starts in the first 100 meters. And I think I saw from the quote that she had a small stumble on the back half, which a small stumble in a 37-second race is
just
everything.
Looking at the call sheet here, right? The difference between 1st and 5th is less than a second. Right.
Yeah.
So a small stumble is a
huge mistake.
Huge difference.
Yeah. Yeah. Moving on to Michaela Schifrin. This was from everything, almost every article online is talking how this is about resilience versus podiums. She had that terrible crash in November of 2024, punctured her abdomen and had to have surgery. And so this was kind of more about her just getting back into the intense international competition. I mean, she's had some more of it, but like this is kind of the first big one. So it's really just, if you find the podium, it's great, but can we go out there and just perform?
Yeah, I think Schifrin also seems to have a little bit of a bugaboo when it comes to the Olympics, right? She finished off podium for all 6 events she was supposed to be in, or she competed in, in Beijing. Right now it's looking like that might happen again. I do think, we talked about this when we talked about Vaughn last week, but these people are literally hurtling themselves down a mountain at 70, 80 miles an hour on skis. And so you can imagine just the mentality you have to do that when you feel good.
Yeah.
How hard that would be to overcome a really significant crash or a really significant injury. Just concerned that you can, maybe you can't quite see an aberration in the snow that's going to throw you off and send you hurtling off course or whatever it might be. So
she actually said during the giant slalom that she was battling some kind of PTSD mental hurdles with the speed and everything.
I would believe it.
So I believe she has one more chance in the slalom, which I think is on Wednesday, February 18th.
Nice. Get it, girl.
Yeah.
We're cheering for you.
Just do well. We don't care about the podiums.
I'm just cheering.
Just show up. Yeah. That's what we're saying. I'm saying just show up.
You're there. You're freaking Olympian. Yeah. By the way, sometimes in all of this, we lose track of the fact that these people are just Olympians is a huge accomplishment in and of itself. And then we go and you see people bashing these folks who have immense amounts of pressure on them to win these medals. The fact that they are there should be enough for us.
Yes. The classic meme of you're sitting on the couch eating your Doritos going, what an idiot, they messed up. No. You don't get to talk. All right, moving on. Chloe Kim. Kim's bid for historic 3-peat, 3 consecutive golds was thwarted by South Korean teenager, is it Choi Gaon. Kim put down a clean technical run scoring 88, but Choi responded with a massive 90.25 on her final run to take the top spot.
Yeah, so we were watching this, or I was watching this, I think. And I was thinking to myself, I'm like, is it normal for this many athletes to not complete a run.
Oh,
So
yeah.
I was watching the second, they do 3 heats and you top score wins, right? And that's how the snowboard scoring is done. And I watched the whole second heat, and I think one athlete completed a run. So went without falling, basically. And I started to think to myself, I was like, well, if somebody can just get down the half pipe, they're probably gonna win. And then sure enough, Guyon does it, and beautiful run, by the way. And then Kim went last because she was the highest score going into the last heat. And she was trying to put up this like insane. I mean, if she had nailed it, it would have been lights out, right? Like, but I think the connection between the two is actually what's really cool. So I don't know if you were going to talk about that.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think you had said that Chloe Kim is kind of a mentor to Guyon.
Yeah.
So kind of almost like this passing of the torch moment. I'm sure Chloe Kim will be back, but I think this type of thing, there's some people who can kind of last and have the longevity there. But I think sometimes with these half pipe type sports or kind of more physical type sports, you might not be there for very long.
Well, I mean, we talked about this a little over a month ago, like Chloe suffered a really significant shoulder injury not that long ago. Right. Yeah. So the fact, again, going back to like the mentality, the fact that she's even out there competing and having a good time, smiling. Yeah. I mean, one of the most beautiful things, y'all, that I saw was she finished her run. She had fallen. She knew she was good enough for silver medal, right? Good enough for, she was going to get a silver medal. So sorry. The first thing she did, she got up off her butt after falling. She, slid the rest of the way down the hill, immediately goes over to Guyon and gives her a hug. Immediately. Yeah. Didn't even like take a breath to think about like, oh, I just got a silver medal at the Olympics. Yeah. She went over and congratulated this young woman. And it's just like such a example. That's the other thing I love about the Olympics is just the examples of like class and character that some of these athletes display.
Yes.
So kudos to Chloe.
All right. And then the last one up here, we have Jessie Diggins. Was kind of running into some troubles here. Finished 8th in the skiathlon after a crash. Was knocked out of a sprint in the quarterfinals while she was nursing some bruised ribs from that crash. The relay team actually got 5th in that 4x7.5 kilometer, which we watched. Yeah, we saw the Swedish gal
crashed twice,
ass over tea kettle, just
flipped on her face.
Broke a ski. Well, she broke a ski and they still got second.
She broke a ski, but not just like her ski came off her binding. Her entire binding came off her ski, so she had to get a technician out there to like give her a new ski. Yep. And somehow Sweden still got second in this race.
And then going back to Jessie Diggins, was able to get the bronze in the 10 kilometer freestyle. Yeah. So I think this was her victory lap.
Totally.
I think one of the headlines I saw was they asked her what she's going to do after this, and she said, I'm going to get a life and like just live it. Yeah. So
you've seen clips of her finish of that. She left everything out on that course. So hats off to you, Jessie.
All right. And then moving on to still to come, we said we have the ice hockey final on Thursday at noon. Michaela Schifrin in slalom on Wednesday, the 18th. I think it's a 3 a.m. and 6:30 a.m. Central. So probably not going to be watching that live. Speaking to figure skating, we have women's singles figure skating. Alyssa Liu, Amber Glenn, and Isabu Lobito from the U.S. will start the short program Tuesday at 11:45 a.m. Central. And then they have the top 24 skaters from the short program move on to the free skate, which is Thursday at noon.
You want to talk about pressure?
Yeah.
Like we talked about it. These young women are being hailed as maybe the top trio.
Yeah.
So we'll see how they do.
We'll see what they can do. We have women's curling Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and then into the weekend if they make it past the group stage. The group stage isn't even, the semifinals is not even kind of planned out there, so we're not quite sure when that's going to be. And then we have the 2 women bobsled training starts on Thursday and then goes through the weekend. The official schedule is not yet announced. At least it was not when we did the research.
Okay. All right. Lots to come still. So that's it for Olympics for this episode. I guarantee you we will be talking about it at least once more next week. So stay tuned for more updates. Now I'm going to shift gears into some just women's professional basketball updates. We have a couple different segments to go through here. So the first one, wanted to hit y'all with a CBA update. So I think last time we aired an episode, the league had just presented a proposal back to the union. The union had been reviewing. There were minimal changes. I would say there were some agreements on some housing situations, developmental player roster spots, but not a lot of movement on the revenue sharing portion, which again, I think you mentioned this last episode. You know, the executive body for the union is like, if we can figure that out, we're good to go, basically.
Yeah.
And the league continues to kind of drag their feet a little bit on that. But suffice it to say, we mentioned this already, but NBA All-Star Weekend was this weekend, and the NBA commissioner, Adam Silver, was asked in a press conference about the CBA situation.
Yep.
So you might be wondering, Caitlin, why are you talking about the NBA? This is a women's sports podcast. Well, the NBA is a 42% owner of the WNBA.
Yep.
And Kathy Engelbert, the commissioner of the WNBA, reports directly to Adam Silver, the commissioner of the NBA. If you're wondering where the other 58% of ownership of the WNBA goes, another 42% is to the team ownership of the W, and then there's 16% that is held by private investors.
Okay.
So at this press conference, though, Silver essentially stressed the need for movement and urgency on both sides. So he was quoted as saying, "We need to now move towards a next level sense of urgency and not lose momentum in terms of the amazing amount of progress we've seen in women's basketball." So he's cognizant of, you know, the stakes here as a business person, I think.
Yep.
At the same time, he did say he was trying to pressure. He intends to pressure both sides.
Yeah.
He's not looking at this as like the players are out of bounds or the league is. He's kind of, which smart.
That was going to be my question. Is this directed at the players, the owners, or a little bit of both? In my head, I was almost thinking the owners a little bit more, like, get your product figured out here.
That was kind of my read too, a little bit but I also think I can't imagine that he's looking at some of the numbers that the union's asking for and saying like, absolutely, let's, they would have agreed to it. I mean, Kathy reports to him. So you have to assume that if they were A-okay with those numbers, they would, we would have had this done a long time ago. What is funny is that on the same day, on Valentine's Day, the NBPA, so the Players Association, like social media account, posted a Valentine's message to the league, and it read like this: "Roses are red, violets are blue. We'd love a proposal that values players too." With little kissies on it. That might be our quote of the week.
Yeah,
honestly.
it might be.
So it's interesting. In addition to this, there was some chatter around Breanna Stewart, who's part of the executive committee, saying that she was excited about where they're headed and progress. But then like 2 days later, there's a headline that's coming out that Stewie has just signed to go back overseas to the Turkish club Fenerbahce Opet. To help them with their playoff push here in April, which literally butts right up to the start of preseason for the W. So I'm like, you're kind of sending mixed messages, Stewie. So we don't have an agreement is the TLDR. I should have led with that. We'll be keeping our eyes open. I'm going to talk in a little bit about, actually, I'm going to go into it right now. Excuse me. We have the season is supposed to tip off May 8th. And April 20th or so, I think, is when you usually report in for preseason. They get a couple weeks in and then they go. What was really interesting as I was looking into this is they have so much they still have to do. They have the expansion drafts for 2 teams. And this was what really caught my eye, and it plays into the free agency situation as well, which is stalled out. If just reminding our audience, they're in a moratorium for free agency. No one wants to sign when the CBA may be renegotiated. You're not going to get the same pay or whatever that you would under a new CBA.
There's the college draft.
Yeah. So if we think about this, just this expansion draft alone, you have 2 teams that have to go through this draft. Typically, so when they did the expansion draft for the Golden State Valkyries, who joined the league last season, they held that draft, the expansion draft, in December.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh.
It's February, mid-February. And why that timing is important is because teams, so first, the way that it works is the 12 teams that existed at the time could choose 6 players to protect.
Yep.
Okay. There's usually about 15 players on a basketball roster, give or take. So that meant 9 players were free for the expansion draft. And then the team that's drafting can pull from all the teams. They don't have to pull from all the teams, but they get that pool of players to draft from.
Yep.
Okay. So now there was also a minimal number of free agents at the time. Now, we've talked about this before, over 100 players are in free agency and literally not signed to contracts right now because they've put that moratorium. So my question is like, how are you protecting players? Because they're not actually signed to your team. And then the second thing is you have 2 teams that have to go through this. And so the planning process between like for the Portland Fire or the Toronto Tempo is, hey, I know I want this player, but what if Toronto knows they want this player? What if Portland takes that player? Who's my contingency? Like it's a totally different process than it was with the Golden State Valkyries. And so I feel like they have to work out free agency before they can work out the expansion draft. Yeah. And then you have the college draft. I don't know how they would get it done.
Yeah, they're gonna have to
they have like a couple weeks, I think, to get this signed.
I think we talked about that a week or 2 ago. It's gonna be like March, early March. That they have to figure this out by.
Right.
Because otherwise it can't happen.
And the impact of this potentially, right, is Alex and I were talking about this earlier tonight. It's like, what's the product on the court gonna look like? Yeah. Because now you have general managers and coaching staffs trying to construct teams without knowing who's going to be on. I mean, they don't have teams, and then they're going to have to do it fast. Yep. And it's going to be based on kind of availability. And then like, what can you pay me essentially? I don't.
There was what you said about earlier tonight was like the chemistry of the players, the chemistry with the coaches, the training staff. Like it's just, I think it's going to take, not going to be there until a month or 2 into the season. Versus,
it's going to take until July for us, like all-star break time, kind of for us, like really start to see these teams in my view. Right. Yeah. So we'll see what happens there. It's definitely going to be a little bit chaotic, but we've seen it in Unrivaled. We've seen those really, really talented individual players come together and gel over this 2-month time period. So different game, right? 3v3. We will transition a little bit to Unrivaled here. I'm going to whip through a couple things worth noting. One of the big headlines from the week is Angel Reese of the Chicago Sky, played ball at LSU in college. She is returning to Unrivaled. So she has not yet played in this season. She's going to return to Rose, BC. She was part of that team last year when they won the 2025 inaugural championship. Yep. She was the defensive player of the year. And she'll be hitting the court on February 20th, which I believe is Friday night, as the Rose try and get into the playoffs. I'm going to talk a little bit more about that here in a second. So, another one worth mentioning. We talked about this in Favorite Thing, but that 1v1 tournament, so fun to watch.
Just intense basketball.
You really gain a lot of respect for like the individual skills that each of these players have. What's really interesting to me is the versatility across the board, regardless of position. You've got bigs who now, like, the game demands that bigs now can shoot a three consistently and well, right? The game also demands that you've got guards who can get in, body up, create space, and hit like a short jump shot or get in on the rim, right, against a bigger opponent and finish. And so it was really impressive. This was won by the Las Vegas Aces, Chelsea Gray. So defending WNBA champion from that team. She gets a $200K bag. We were looking at this. Her entire salary from last year, y'all, was $196K. So she made more. I think I saw it was like she made $200K in 32 minutes of play.
Yeah. And it's my comment here is like, there's not really anything to say, but we just keep highlighting this and how insane it is. But between these two leagues, you can play for 32 minutes and get $200K versus the whole,
like good ball. She had to beat really good players to get that. And that's why we were saying before, like they were so locked in and focused. Like you could tell they want the money. They take their game seriously. The other thing that was interesting in the 1v1 was just like they talked about this a little bit, like the vulnerability to put yourself out there. I mean, we saw it.
Look at Courtney T. kind of got, they just got the floor wiped. Yeah.
Right. Like to put yourself out there and really be like, all right, I hope I can hang with this player. And somebody hits a rhythm or whatever, but like, you know, props to them. The runner up was Alicia Gray of the Atlanta Dream. 50K for her as that runner up. Those two went back and forth. That looked exhausting.
That was a crazy
last
final match of the three.
They played three total, or 7 point games. And then the semifinalists each got 25K. So that was Kelsey Plum and Aaliyah Boston representing the bigs there in the final four. So real quick, we're going to talk a little bit about the playoff picture in Unrivaled because that's coming up here. We have our final slate of games that actually starts Tuesday night this week, which is a little different. But the top four teams make the playoffs. Current standings, you've got the Laces led by Jackie Young and Alyssa Thomas, and the Phantom led by Kelsey Plum and Aaliyah Boston. These two teams have qualified for the playoffs. They are locked in. Following them up, we have the Mist led by Brianna Stewart and Alicia Gray, and then the Breeze led by Paige Beckers and Dominique Malonga. Rose, BC right now, which Chelsea Gray is a part of, Angel Reese is joining, are on the outside looking in. So we will be watching a couple different games, but kind of looking at the Breeze and the Rose and a little bit of the Mist to sort of see how that shakes out. So Tuesday night this week, the 17th, the Breeze play the bottom ranked team, Lunar Owls. The thing is about this league is like anyone can win on any night. And so like this is a must win game for Breeze in my view. They need to take care of business. You've got Angel Reese's debut on Friday night against the Hive. The Breeze play the Vinyl on Saturday night. The Vinyl are squarely out, I think, of contention right now. But again, like spoiler potential for them, right? Then the Rose have to turn around and play the top team Laces on Sunday night. So that's tough. And then the Breeze play the Mist on Monday night. So there could be a lot of shuffling that happens in these last couple days.
That was my big note about the Angel Reese thing is that like while you still have there's a little bit of games to play, but you have the Breeze playing some easy games. She almost needs to come in and be perfect. Like a little bit. Dominant. Like she has to be dominant in order to help the Rose do what they can to win. It'll be interesting.
So the other big news in Unrivaled this week is that they have scheduled to play the semifinals of the tournament in NYC at Barclays Center where the New York Liberty play. This will be on Monday, March 2nd. So about 2 weeks from now. I think this is a market test.
Yes.
Like they killed it in Philly.
Yeah.
And I genuinely think that future iterations of Unrivaled, we're going to see almost like a traveling type situation where they can take it to different markets, here and there during the season. Really cool to see. I guarantee that's probably going to end up being a sellout again too.
Yeah. I think I saw someone had said a couple nights ago, like 10K had already been sold.
Yeah.
So easily going to sell that out.
Yeah. So that's cool. And then final piece here in basketball news, Team USA. So our women's basketball team for Team USA would compete at the Olympics, and there's World Cups for basketball as well. Just named a roster for an upcoming international tournament. The FIBA, Federal International Basketball Association World Cup qualifying tournament, running mid-March here, the 11th through the 17th. They are going to be playing against Senegal, New Zealand, Spain, Italy, and Puerto Rico. The USA actually already qualified for the 2026 World Cup, which will be held in Berlin, Germany. But they still use these games as like a tune-up. And actually the roster dropping, the roster itself is really interesting. So you've got the 2024 and 2025 Rookies of the Year, and Caitlin Clark and Paige Beckers making their senior side debuts. You also have debuts for Angel Reese, Sonia Citron, and Kiki Arifan, who both play for the Washington Mystics in the W. And they will be joined by 2024 gold medalists, Kalia Copper, Chelsea Gray, Kelsey Plum, and Jackie Young, as well as Dearica Hamby and Ryan Howard and Aaliyah Boston. So that is a stacked lineup. I will just mention, you can see almost all of these players play in Unrivaled every weekend if you want to watch.
That's kind of what I was going to say. I feel like with the people you have on this team, you have like...
I think Clark's the only one.
Yeah, you have... so many of these big names that have brought so much attention to the sport lately that I think these are going to be viewed a lot more by spectators and viewers online. Like, I think it's going to bring a lot more attention to that part of the game.
Yeah, it's interesting. Like if you contrast it with women's professional soccer, I think the U.S. women's national team from a soccer perspective really kind of attracted viewers, and you're seeing it now with like, we want to keep these players from the U.S. women's national team on the NWSL teams. And like, there's kind of that, this is almost going in reverse. Like, I gotta be honest, I don't think I ever paid attention.
I didn't know this was a thing until you put it on the call sheet today.
To Team USA outside of the Olympics, right? Yep. And now it's like, oh, this is like something that goes on year round. There's World Cups. And I think you're going to start to see viewership shift that way because of the presence of, frankly, these superstars, right?
100%.
So that'll be fun to watch. They're going to be led by Duke University women's basketball coach and personal fave of mine, Kara Lawson, along with Natalie Nakase, who was the W's coach of the year of the Golden State Valkyries last season, Nate Tibbetts of the Phoenix Mercury, and Stephanie White of the Indiana Fever. So we'll be on the lookout for that.
Absolutely.
And then we're going to wrap things up here before we get into what to watch with just a little bit of a women's soccer roundup. So there were some huge trades that happened in the NWSL over the week. Croy Bethune, U.S. Women's National Team midfielder, 2024 Rookie and Midfielder of the Year in the NWSL, was traded from the Washington Spirit to the 2025 Shield winners, Kansas City Current.
All right.
For a estimated fee or transfer amount of about $1 million. So this isn't salary. This is like what the teams pay between them for that transfer. And then Claire Hutton, who we actually spotlighted a couple weeks ago from her national team contributions, she is headed to Bay FC for $1.1 million from Kansas City Current after leading that team to the Shield last season. So these are huge transfers. They're the second and third highest intra-league transfers behind Jaden Shaw, another U.S. Women's National Team star. Last year transferred from North Carolina Courage to Gotham FC. Current CBA requires player consent for all transactions. It was reported that Bethune actually wanted to make a change. Kind of interesting. Her like bestie is Trinity Rodman, or so it appears on the TikToks of the world. And Trin, as we've covered here, obviously just signed that huge deal with the Spirit.
Yep.
Part of me wonders if Croy is looking at it being like, like maybe I can go get my bag somewhere else, because like you're kind of taking up a little too much oxygen here. Under the current CBA constraints and even the high impact player rule, which both of these players do qualify for that. They meet the criteria. Hutton, I think that's a big move. Bay FC didn't do great, but I think they have an opportunity to build a team around her.
Yeah.
So that'll be interesting to watch.
So was that consent clause not in the previous CBA? Is that like somewhat of a newer thing? Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
They were just kind of stuck wherever you were at.
Just trade you around wherever you want to go. So one other big move from U.S. women's national team perspective is Katarina Macario. She plays forward for the national team. She has been overseas. She played in France for a stint, and then she's recently been at Chelsea FC.
Yep.
Playing for the Blues for the last couple seasons. She's not that old, folks. Her contract expires at the end of this WSL season. So Women's Super League is the NWSL equivalent in England. She doesn't want to re-sign, which is kind of interesting. She's had some injuries over the last couple seasons, hasn't been selected for some teams. I think maybe just struggling to jive and really find her groove there. And so this started a whole swirl of like Barcelona wants to make an offer to her, and then Manchester City and Arsenal and some other London City Lionesses. And it was like, oh, would she stay? Well, turns out I think she actually wants to come home. And so reportedly she's in advanced talks with the San Diego Wave, who also could use a like marquee player. They lost Alex Morgan to retirement 2 seasons ago. Then they had, tradeaways of Jaden Shaw, Naomi Girma, Savannah McCaskill just left there, Kaylin Sheridan. Like that team's kind of gotten a little gutted.
Atrophied a little bit there.
And so I think it'll be cool if that comes through for Macario to come back stateside, and another, frankly, win for the NWSL. It'll be interesting to see if that high impact player rule plays out for her salary too.
Who doesn't want to play in San Diego?
I mean, really
beautiful there.
Yeah. So the last thing we want to wrap with on the women's soccer front is the SheBelieves Cup is coming up. It starts on March 1st, which is like 2 weeks from today. About now.
Yeah, about now.
The U.S. will play Argentina in Nashville. They'll play Canada on the 4th in Columbus. And then they'll round out the tournament against Colombia on the 7th in Harrison, New Jersey. Couple rule changes I thought were interesting. So typically in these international tournaments, you roster 23 players. And they actually expanded that to be 26 players. However, coaches have to declare the 23 that will dress for the game when they submit starting lineups. So you don't get to have all 26. Kind of get to play a little chess on like who you need, and you can do matchups and things like that depending on your opponent. And then all matches ending in a tie will move directly to penalty kicks.
Straight to penalties.
Yeah. So I think they typically you see this because they want to reduce the risk of injury.
That makes sense.
You're also playing 3 games in a week. So I think there's a lot of consideration for players who are, especially NWSL players who are heading into their season. WSL, they're late in the season. You want to protect them for the playoffs. So I get it. The winner of the tournament then is determined based on points. You get 3 points for a win, 1 point for a regulation tie, and an additional point if you win the shootout. So both teams in a tie get a point, but then whoever wins the shootout gets a bonus. No points for a loss, in case you were not clear on that.
So I think this next part's going to be interesting. I think somebody who listens challenged you to a roster prediction.
Yes. So friend of mine, former colleague, loves the U.S. women's national team almost as much as I do. He can challenge me on that if he wants to. he said he really wanted to hear me make a roster prediction for the SheBelieves Cup. We've talked about here this roster. Emma Hayes has come out and said, the coach of Team USA has come out and said that who she names in this roster is likely going to give a glimpse into who she's thinking for the World Cup next year. And so I'm going to give it a go. I realized that unfortunately fortunately that I had 26 spots that I could choose because of SheBelieves Cup. And I think I have 26 here. I may be off by one. And I also have to admit that I didn't check injury status of every one of these players. So I could totally see where maybe one or two of them is not playing because of injury. But here we go. So for goalkeepers, I've got Casey Murphy, Fallon Tullis-Joyce, and Mandy McGlynn. I think Tullis-Joyce, if she's healthy, is going to be the number one. She's been playing over with Manchester United in really good form. I think she's probably going to be looking at that number one spot for Team USA come tournament time. For defenders, I've got Emily Sonnet, Naomi Girma, Emily Fox, Giselle Thompson, which is a little bit of I think that might be a little bit of a surprise one. Emily Sams, Avery Patterson. And then this was one, and this friend of mine will get this, is Tierna Davidson. I don't know. She's been out with pretty serious injury. Okay. She's definitely one of the top defenders in the system, but I'm unsure on her status right now. I threw Giselle Thompson in there. I really liked how she played in the games at the start of this year. She's played a couple last year. Just her playmaking out of the back. She was playing right back, I think, in the games recently against Paraguay and Chile. And I thought that creativity was really good. Yep. Plus, she did a good job of covering gaps and making sure that she was in good positions to support her team. So we'll see. She's the younger sister of Alyssa Thompson, who I do have named in the forwards here. For midfielders, I have Olivia Moultrie, Lo Labonta, Rose Lavelle, Lindsay Heaps, Sam Coffey, Claire Hutton, Lily Johannes, and Croy Bethune. I don't think there's any
I don't think there's any arguments in there at all.
Like, that's pretty straightforward. And then for forwards, I have Kat Macario, Sophia Wilson. I think we'll see her. Trinity Rodman, Allie Sentnor, Jaden Shaw, Yasmin Ryan, Alyssa Thompson, and Emma Sears. So those names have all been, I think, really impressive when they've had opportunities to play in recent matches. Yeah. I think you get good production. I think the question will be the chemistry. But Emma Hayes is a genius.
Yeah, I think
I feel like
she's been in the lab too. I think she knows.
She knows. She knows. So we can gut check this once it drops. It's due to drop this week.
We'll see it.
You may even know what it is by the time
we might do a social media, like, how right were you?
How right was I?
All right. Let's move it on here. What to watch for this week. Like we said, with Unrivaled, there is 2 games on Tuesday evening, which is different than normal.
Yeah.
And then I think there is the normal, I think it's like Friday through Monday.
Yeah.
I think one of the ones that we were talking about was, and the one that I want to watch the most is the Mist. Is it the
Mist and Breeze? Yeah.
They are 3 and 4 respectively, and trying to wrap up a playoff spot. So I think that's 7:45 on Monday. Something we didn't talk about in our basketball segment, we will talk about it soon. Athletes Unlimited Basketball. They're actually in their 3rd week of their season. And they have 6 games a week, it looks like. They play Wednesday, Friday, and Saturday night. There's one midday Wednesday, one Wednesday evening, and then Friday and Saturday evening. They have 2 games each. So I think we'll try to check that out if we can pull that up on the it's on ESPN app. We'll take a look and maybe we'll try to highlight that in one of our next episodes.
Yeah, totally.
Looking at NCAA basketball, number 6 Michigan versus number 13 Iowa, 11 a.m. on Fox. And if Big Ten's not your jam, then we have number 17 Ole Miss versus number 3 South Carolina at 11 a.m. on ESPN. And then we also have newly ranked number 23 Minnesota
I saw that.
hosting number 18 Michigan State, 5 p.m. on FS1. We'll see what they can do.
As you can tell, Big Ten is our jam here
Yes.
in Minnesota.
And then NCAA hockey. We have, I think the biggest series is this in-state rivalry, UMD, University of Minnesota Duluth versus the University of Minnesota. University of Minnesota Duluth's number 10, Minnesota's number 3, but don't discount the in-state rivalry.
No.
You're gonna have Bulldog fans down here in
Totally.
Minneapolis checking it out. It's gonna be those in-state games are always just a lot of fun. So
you know what's really confusing though when they play each other is their colors are the same.
Oh yeah,
you're just like I don't know.
And they're both the University of Minnesota. So,
like, what
are we doing here? That's 6 p.m. on Friday and 2 p.m. on Saturday on the Big Ten.
Nice.
Yeah, so that's what we got for what to watch this week. Moving on to winners and losers, but losers go first.
Losers go first. Do you have a loser? I gotta think for a second.
Both of mine are kind of half winners, half losers. Ooh. But I said not a loser per se, but the Olympics is really cramping kind of the PWHL momentum for those teams that we had going. Like I think we had some really good games happening, a lot of fun storylines there, and it's just like I want to get back. The hockey is phenomenal in the Olympics, but I want to get back to seeing what happens in the PWHL.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. It will be interesting to see like where the Olympics momentum takes the teams, because you can have teams that really rise out of that, or players who kind of maybe weren't hitting their stride in the PWHL, but like now unlock something. I know Alex Carpenter was leading the tournament in goals for a little while there. She plays for, I believe, the Seattle Torrent, that expansion team, and they've been struggling. So it'll be interesting, her and Hillary Knight, like going back to that team along with some other players from other countries. Will that turn their trajectory around?
Or, I mean, talking about the teams who had some upward potential, are they tired now? Is it? Yeah. We talked about rust versus rest, all that type of stuff. So it'll be interesting to see where it goes.
For sure. I do want to say, because we were watching the hockey game, the Team USA hockey game against Sweden today, the broadcasters spent an inordinate amount of time talking about the men's hockey team. Yeah. Well, the women's hockey team was playing. They even interviewed some of the men's hockey team players while they were broadcasting the game. And it gets frustrating when media can't find a way to like lean into the women in the sport a little bit more. Like I get hype around like wanting to support the two teams across the men's and the women's team, but to really spend as much time as they did talking about legacy on the men's side while you have some amazing legacy on the women's side, it was just
I'm sure they'll be interviewing the women's hockey team while the men's are.
I'm sure they will. I'm sure they will. So those are my losers.
Winner?
My winner is Rose BC for picking up Angel Reese. Remains to be seen what impact she can be had, but actually Rose BC, but also Unrivaled. This is huge for them. Angel Reese is incredibly marketable, good and bad. Like she's totally like a all press is good press type of gal. And so for Unrivaled to get her to come back in even this late in the season, just wanting to kind of get her game going as we hopefully head towards a WNBA season is really, really good for everybody.
My winner, and it's kind of barely a winner because they haven't gotten anything done, but I feel like there is momentum in the CBA. So my winner was that whole situation. I feel like we're starting to inch towards something finally happening. And I'm hoping that as it inches forward, it's just going to eventually break and things are going to happen and we're going to have a season. Nice. Maybe not as good as, like you said, with the product, but hopefully we get something.
We'll see. I mean, like we've seen with the Unrivaled, like whatever, like all these women are playing right now, right? It's not like they're sitting on their butts and like waiting for the season to start. So, and just the quality and level of play is so much higher than it's ever been.
Yep.
Like, I think it could still be pretty good.
Yeah. All right. I think that's it for this week.
Well, thanks for being here with us, y'all.
Yeah.
We know that was a lot of information coming at you. We had quite a few things to catch y'all up on. Come back next week for more on all things women's sports.
Don't forget to look at us at RTG_pod on socials and YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts.
And if you have any suggestions or things you think we should be covering, email us at raisingthegame.com. Just kidding.
raisingthegamepod@gmail.com.
That's why he's here.
That's why I'm here. I remember those things. That's the one thing I do remember. All right.
Thanks, y'all.
Bye.
Bye.